What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Welcome into Shaw Locals Bears Insider Podcast. I am Kyle Nabors. It is Monday morning here, November 20th. I'm trying not to laugh because I can already see the chats coming in, the comments coming in. And, you know, about a month ago, we were talking about have we seen a worse loss than that Denver meltdown against the Broncos, Sean? The Bears found a way to one-up us yesterday.
It seems like they always find a way to one up it, Man, how many times have we talked about a close loss over the last year and a half? They just cannot seem to win these one possession games. And actually, going back to the last Nagy years too. I mean, the Lions have done this to the Bears a couple of times now.
It's what losing franchises do. I can't sugarcoat it in any other way. Like, a culture of losing has taken over Hallis Hall. There's no way around it at this point. There's no other explanation to what is happening on a consistent basis to this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Kmet kind of said something to that effect yesterday in the locker room after the game. At a certain point, they got to start winning close games. Like, you're kind of out of excuses at this point. And, I think you and I both are kind of on the same page where, like, that game, even though they had a 12-point lead, it didn't feel comfortable. And when Jared Goff and the Lions go down and score the first of two back-to-back touchdowns, like, you just had that feeling that this was going to end badly.
Rick Gonzalez checking in this morning. Rick, nice to have you, man. Not counting playoff losses, this was the worst regular season loss I've ever seen the Bears have, Rick says. It's certainly up there. I'm looking forward to the comments here to kind of throw that in. I think back to he says not counting playoff games. Man, even counting playoff games, you look at that Green Bay game, was it the Randall Cobb blown coverage game? I think back to that, was that 2011? It all kind of runs together at this point. But
that 2010 season, 2011, January 2011. Yeah.
The Bears have had so many epic meltdowns over the years, but that is absolutely near the top of the list. Thank you, everyone who's joining us live this morning on YouTube. You can jump into the questions. We appreciate everyone. If you're watching on YouTube live, do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We really do appreciate that. If you're watching later, leave a comment. We do go back through those and take a look at those. Sean, man, where do you want to start with this, breaking this down?
Well, I think, look, every loss is a team loss, like, there's a million different ways these games can change. But I think it's worth discussing, like, who do you, and maybe it's not fair to pin the blame on one person or one group, but who deserves the blame after this loss, Kyle? Like, where are we at with what we just witnessed?
I don't see how you put it on anyone but the coaching staff. Justin Fields played a terrific game. The offensive line was in the best shape it's been all season. They were run blocking well. I mean, the Detroit Lions don't give up a lot on the ground. The Bears were running the ball effectively. They were taking what Detroit gave them. Everything, like, the defense was performing well enough. They were getting pressure consistently on Jared Goff. I mean, when was the last time? How often is it that a team is +3 in the turnover battle and loses the game?
I don't know. It's probably not very often. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of, Rick says Floos with about 1 million S's at the end, all caps as well. His coaching staff 100% lost the game. Mike says Getsy and Floos were just awful when it counted. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I really liked what they did running Justin. Like, the first half, even the first 3 quarters, you could say, like, they did exactly what we saw towards the second half of last season. They got Justin in those positions to run the RPOs. I mean, for whatever reason, the Lions were bottling up the running back, and Justin was taking advantage of it. And that's kind of what Bears fans have been begging for all season, and it was working. And that's why it's just so disheartening the way the game ended, because you felt like there was a lot of good things early on in that game, especially on the offensive side.
not just early on, for
most of the game.
Yeah, for 50 minutes of game time, 55 minutes of game time. It was, they were executing the the game plan, the execution of the game plan made sense. Things seemed to flow. Listen, like, the Bears aren't a perfect team by any sense, but like, they were doing what they needed to do to win an NFL game, and it looked like it's supposed to look. And then they played not to lose. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, that's all this comes down to. They played not to lose those final couple drives. Let's see what Rick has to say here. When we were up 9 and Flus decided to kick a field goal and go up 12 on 4th and 1, I knew we were doomed. We were already up 2 scores. So either way, 2 touchdowns beats us. Bad coaching. What did you think of that decision, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I also would have liked to see them go for a touchdown in that situation. I mean, yeah, like a 9-point advantage versus a 12-point advantage is not real. I mean, exactly what we just saw play out is what happened. You still 2 touchdowns and you're losing. I agree that I felt like the Bears should have gone for it. I wonder too, was that the 3rd down play? That was that the one where the spot seemed kind of iffy too? Like, they may have gotten that, if I recall. I wonder if they thought about challenging that. Maybe that's a different play that I'm thinking of. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see the aggression there, certainly. And you could say the same thing. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's different, but when the next possession after the Lions score, the Bears come out and do 2 handoffs to Herbert and the deep ball to Tyler Scott. What were your thoughts on that whole sequence, Kyle?
I don't have a problem with 2 runs. And like, here's the thing, okay? It's more the sequencing of the events. Okay, you go straight handoff on 1st down, whatever, that's fine. You run zone read on 2nd down. Detroit plays it well. Like, zone read had worked well against Detroit all day. I don't particularly have a problem with the play call. They read it correctly. The end stayed where he needed to be. Didn't get too far upfield. He took away the run. Whatever. That puts you in a 3rd and long situation. I think then my problem is dialing up the shot play to Travis Scott. Like, if you're going to run on 1st and 2nd down, you better go to one of your best playmakers on 3rd down to move the chains. And
I mean, that's got to be DJ Moore, if not Darnell Mooney, right?
Or Cole Kmet. It's why are you dialing up a shot play to Travis Scott? Like, even if you think, and he beat the defense. Like, it might have been the correct play call. Like, the play call itself might have been correct. The problem is, you need to win a football game, and you're putting that on 4th round rookie, 5th round rookie,
4th round, I think. Yeah,
4th round rookie who has, until this point of the season, we're now at week 11, has not made a meaningful impact in the NFL. And
lost a fumble earlier in the same game. Lost a fumble earlier.
Yeah. So that's it's more the sequencing and the play call at the end there. You have to combine it all together. That's the way I look at it. And then going back, if I can quickly, Sean.
Yeah, go ahead.
That drive before, like, there were many good things on that drive. They take a lot of time off the clock, right? And there's nothing wrong with being run heavy in that situation. I do think they went too run heavy and too conservative. And one of the things that papers over that is Justin Fields making a ridiculous play on 3rd and long to pick up a 1st down that got them into field goal position. That papers over the fact that they were really conservative on that drive. So, again, stay aggressive.
Yeah, it was 3rd and Justin Fields took a sack on 2nd down. It was 3rd and 14, I believe, at their own 40 or 45, somewhere in that range, kind of near midfield, but the sack set him back a bit. Justin ran out to his left. Roshan Johnson was there to throw a nice block. And, we all saw Justin do a little dance after the play. And, like, in my mind at that point in time, if, you got the feeling the Bears are going to win the game, it's like, I'm saying, okay, that's the play right there. Like, that's what I'm going to write about. He made that great play. He was running well all day long. And you know, I still led my one story with that play, just because I think it symbolized how good things were going, and then on the other side we saw how quickly it all fell apart after that. Because look, I know. Go ahead, Kyle. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, as like the Bears don't get enough points off turnovers in that first half. They come out in the second half. That first drive, kind of frustrating. Offense is not putting enough points on the board. And then they come out with that second drive and go down the field. Justin Fields throws an absolute dime to DJ Moore for the touchdown. You get the lead. You end up you continue to create pressure on defense. You get more turnovers. And then Justin Fields puts that run on tape to get you. Like when he had that run, I went, oh, all right, they're going to win this game.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want. We talked about last week. And by the way, thank you for Jake Bartleson. Jake working behind the scene here, producing the show for us today and filled in for me on Friday on the preview show. We talked about last week. You and Jake talked about, needing. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to see, the 7-game stretch where you talk about Justin Fields needing to kind of take control of this.
This is it. You have nothing guaranteed after this season.
Yeah. And he makes the plays to win you the game. And then you get tremendously conservative and watch it just go right out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's 100% frustrating. James Williams says when the Lions needed a play, they sent St. Brown to the goal line and throw it low where only he can catch it. That's coaching. Put your players in the best position. That's a great play. That's a great point. Like that ball was basically at his shoelaces, and the defender had no chance. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is just so good that he can make plays like that. But you know what? You're right. Like you got a guy like DJ Moore on the other side. And I thought that touchdown pass to DJ was, one of the best plays Justin has made all season, maybe ever, especially the way that he stepped up into the pocket. Like he felt the pressure on his left side and escaped it and threw a perfect pass to DJ. I mean, that was one of Justin's best plays.
Absolutely. It was an absolute rocket in there all day long. That's a good example of his climbing the pocket. He also did a really good job of evading pressure, getting out of the pocket. Mm-hmm. And Luke Getsy, to his credit, I thought Luke Getsy did a really good job of moving the pocket and getting Fields to the edge. Fields did a really good job in those situations of keeping his eyes up and extending plays. It's everything that we wanted to see out of Justin Fields that we were talking about over these last 4 weeks when he got back. We saw that yesterday.
We did, yeah. I mean, I thought he played a really great game. There's one elephant in the room, which of course is the last fumble. And it's funny we referenced the Denver game because there's a lot of similarities there. Both those games, Justin played really well, and then there's a fumble in the fourth quarter that really hurts them. Is that on Justin? Is that on the protection? What's your thoughts with the way that game ended and the strip sack at the end? Obviously, you want Darnell Wright to do a little bit better in that situation. I know it's a tough ask against Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, I mean I don't put that on Justin Fields really at all. Darnell Wright got beat there by one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. It was big time players make big time plays. Aiden Hutchinson did it there. I don't put that on Fields at all. Do you?
No, I don't. I mean, look, he made plays all game long. Yeah. Aiden Hutchinson is a monster. He clearly saved his best play until the very end. And Mark in the comments here says, does that really matter? Like at that point they had already lost the lead. And that's a good point. Like it was everything that you shouldn't have even been in that position. It was everything that led up to that. The defense just completely melted down. You could argue that we talk about conservative on the offensive side, same thing on the other side. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
They were playing not to lose, Kyle. You said it perfectly. They were playing not to lose offensively and defensively, and Jared Goff took advantage of it.
And yeah, they had done such a good job of getting pressure on Jared Goff all afternoon. Montez Sweat continuing to play well. I did see Mark Potash from the Chicago Sun-Times had a tweet this morning talking about snap count. Did you see Montez Sweat with only a 63% snap count
Yeah,
yesterday?
yeah, I did see that.
A bit strange.
That's curious. Yeah.
Uh,
He wasn't, he wasn't playing like 90% his first two games, but it was a little bit lower than where he had been. So I am curious to see what they have to say about that and what exactly the deal was with that.
Yeah, I have no idea why that would have taken place. It's just a little strange.
I mean, that's clearly your best pass rusher, and he did affect the game on a couple of plays, and yeah, like I mean, Jared Goff has been playing really well this year, and he hadn't thrown multiple interceptions in a game since week 6 of last season. And so you had him playing uncharacteristically poor. It seemed like whether it was the pressure, whether it was the coverages, like a couple of those picks were just like, what is he doing? It doesn't look like he's himself. And then, you get into that fourth quarter, those last 4 minutes, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's the guy that we've been seeing all season long.
There. Mark says, Sean, How many times do we have to play not to lose and we lose anyway? I'm so sick of this coaching staff.
That's a great point. I mean, look, I've been saying it all along. I feel like Matt Eberflus at heart is a very conservative coach. And, I'm not going to blame him for every single loss per se, but like, if you play that way, things like this will happen. And yeah, I think you got to be aggressive, especially in that fourth quarter. You have a chance to go down and score a touchdown. You got to do it. Like I would love to see what the analytics say about the win percentage if you get that first down there on that 4th and 1 when they kick the field goal.
Yeah, I agree. Because not only are you, you have the potential of getting down the field there and punching it in the end zone, but you're also taking more time off the clock if you convert there. It didn't really even seem like, I'm trying to recall now. I don't think they gave much thought to going for that, if I recall correctly, though.
I don't think they did either. No, they sent out the field goal unit pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Do you think, just while we're on the discussion of Eberflus's decisions, do you think he should have been calling timeouts sooner on defense? I had some people. I think that's one that's kind of easy to say in retrospect. But I had some people in my mentions saying he should have been banging those timeouts earlier. He did the one when they tackled Jahmyr Gibbs at the 1 yard line.
Yeah,
and he basically had to, because they would have run out the clock if he didn't. How do you feel like he handled that situation down there at the end?
I'd like to talk to some football minds on this one.
Yeah,
because I messaged you behind the scenes, John, and Jake as well, as you guys were covering the game yesterday, questioning why he wasn't using those timeouts. Because my thing isn't, I get it, like you don't want to extend the game, but you had already given up 1 touchdown and you were clearly on your heels again. Mm-hmm. I thought you needed to call a timeout just to get your feet under you and be able to make the substitutions that you needed to make and kind of try and come up with a game plan here. It felt like Detroit. How many third downs did Detroit face on that drive where they took the lead?
I'd have to go back and look.
I'd have to go back and look too, but they were picking up plays in fairly considerable chunks on that drive. It didn't feel like there was any chance the Bears were stopping them there.
That's a great point. Regardless of the clock, I think you're right. I mean, I think they probably could have used a reset, just 30 seconds to catch your breath and say, okay, this is what we're doing. Let's calm ourselves down here.
Yeah, slow down. All right, this isn't working. They're moving the ball. We got to get aggressive here. Like, get everyone on the same page, come up with some game plan there. But no, you just let them get down the field, and then you call the timeout at the one when you like, it was not good clock management. It was bad.
It looks like, just scrolling through the playlist here, the only third down on that drive was the play before the touchdown. It was a 3rd and 2 at the 7 when Jahmyr Gibbs got down to the 1. That was the only third down they faced in that entire sequence.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Did you see how far Matt Eberflus had to run to get that timeout?
On the Jahmyr Gibbs one?
Yeah. He was in the end zone.
There was another instance during that game where he had to come way down the field to try and get a timeout. I don't think he got it. I think it was on a delayed game. There was
okay.
There were two times where the Bears, where the Bears were right up against it with the play clock. He got the timeout the first time earlier in the game, and the second time he was running down there and he didn't get it in time.
I will say, with some of those plays where it was close with the play clock, I mean, Ford Field was loud yesterday. I mean, the fans are really, really, obviously they're having, I think I heard on the radio, 8-2 for the first time since the 60s or something. They're loud at Ford Field, and rightfully so. Things are going well for them. I wouldn't pin those on anything other than the crowd being really loud. Obviously you want to get up to the line quicker always, but there wasn't a whole lot they could do.
That was your first time seeing Detroit close up this for the first time this season.
You've
seen the Kansas City Chiefs. You've covered the NFL long enough now. I still kind of have my doubts about this Detroit team. I think they're a very good team, but I think I have them 5th or 6th on my list of teams that I think are going to win the Super Bowl. What was your kind of reaction coming away from watching them up close yesterday?
Yeah, look, I mean, Jared Goff can't throw 3 picks. You're not going to win football games against most teams. You're not going to win football games doing that. Although obviously against the Bears, that might be another story. He's got to take care of the football, but I just love the weapons that they have on offense. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are both different backs, but really good. Amon-Ra St. Brown. We didn't see a whole lot of Sam Laporta yesterday, but they didn't really need to throw to him a whole lot. I think my bigger questions are on the defensive side. Brian Branch, the rookie safety they got in the 2nd round, I thought he looks like a really, really good player.
Yeah, he played really well yesterday. He played really well, actually.
He played a really nice game, and obviously Aiden Hutchinson in that defensive front is really good. But do they have enough guys outside of Branch? Do they have enough guys in that secondary to slow down some of these better passing teams? I think we're going to see that come playoff time. Obviously they can score enough points. We saw in that Chargers game, they can keep up with anybody.
Alan Dunlap says, trying to find a positive. Would you rather be the Bears or the Patriots right now, Sean?
Right now, this season, it seems like everything coming out of New England is just bad. And I know it's not much better here, but I don't know. I'd rather
be the Bears.
I'd rather be the Bears. Honestly.
It's not even a debate. Alan, it's weird. I think you should. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it so I don't sound like an idiot. I think you should be encouraged by what you saw on the field from the Chicago Bears yesterday for the most part. I felt like there was a considerable amount of talent on the field. I thought that they look like they belong on the field with a contending team, the Detroit Lions. That's the positive, right? That's something you can hang your hat on. The downside to that is it's still the Chicago Bears. You're now banking on them to get that right, whether that's a coaching change or figuring it out with Matt Eberflus. I have no reason to believe that's actually going to happen, but that's your positive. I actually think this roster, you go back to that game against Detroit last year, January 1st, January 2nd last year, and you look at that roster compared to where it was this time around against Detroit, this team has improved a lot in terms of depth, overall talent. They just got to find a way to not be a losing franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Actually, you look at and I haven't watched a ton of Patriots games this season, but just from what I've seen, you look at the overall roster, I do think the Bears have, a few more dudes than the Patriots. Obviously, if you're looking towards the future and you're looking at the draft picks and the where these teams are going to be selecting, you would think that quarterbacks are going to be in a conversation for both of them. I don't know that I trust either team to get that right, Kyle. I mean, Belichick, he had Brady for so many years. Obviously, the Mac Jones thing doesn't look like it's really going to work out. But is your six-time Super Bowl champion coach who, yes, he had Tom Brady for all those years. Do you trust him more to get that quarterback thing right after this Mac Jones thing just failed? I don't know if you do. I think it's such a gamble, no matter who, what situation you're in. When you're taking these first round quarterbacks, it's so hard.
I think back to our good friend Hub Arkish talking about always reminding people how hard it is to find a franchise quarterback. Yeah. It's a tough thing, man. Jake, you had that question up there from CJ. You throw that back up there. Yeah, thanks. CJ said, would you rather put up 51 like the Chargers and lose, or lose like we did yesterday? I mean, the Chargers are a losing franchise too. I mean, we've seen that for a decade plus out of the Chargers. I
can't believe they lost yesterday. I mean,
how many times over the years have we seen the Chargers have plenty of talent on that roster?
Yeah.
And even make the playoffs and find ways to lose games. Like, that is a really talented Chargers team. They continue to make absolute terrible decisions when it comes to coaching hires as well. It's the Bears aren't the only team in the NFL that are not run very well. It's just, let's see, where else can we go here?
I still felt like the Chargers should be a playoff team, and I don't know. After the loss yesterday, you're sitting at 4-6. It's going to be really tough in the AFC. And man, it just seems like that team has too much talent to be where it's at.
It seems like another team that's just, can we go back to making Seinfeld references? That's better than talking about this team, Alan says.
At a certain point, that's all you can do is sit back and laugh.
Yeah. I actually, oddly, I feel a bit better about the Bears. Maybe it's just because we got to see Justin Fields back and the offense operated a little bit better, but like, at least you saw them again. Like, if you think Detroit is a legit playoff or Super Bowl contender, they were right there.
They were there.
Compared to, let's say going back 5 weeks ago against the Kansas City Chiefs, where they weren't competitive in that game.
Wasn't even remotely competitive.
So is that a sign? Is that a sign of progress?
I mean, yeah, I do think this team is better than it was early in the season. I think on both sides of the ball, and maybe that's to be expected now that you have, that Kansas City game was week 3, and they had some issues on the O-line early in the season. I do think that this football team is better than it was back then.
This is really hard to do. I understand it, right? But let's take those first 4 games where it was a complete train wreck. 0-4 out the door. They then went 3-3 after that. Let's say they're 3-4. They've played much better football during the stretch at 3-4.
Yes.
They've beaten some bad teams. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about where this franchise was, where this roster was coming into the year, and what we've seen, over this 7-game stretch with Justin Fields, some progress with the offensive line, the defense playing better since that start. Part of that might be Matt Eberflus taking over. You got to give him credit for that after the departure of Alan Williams. That 3-4 stretch feels a lot more representative of where we thought this team and this franchise would be than those first 4 games. But at some point, you got to turn the corner.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you got to start winning close games. And I know they won a close game against the Panthers, but, you got your backup quarterback. I'm more thinking, when you have Justin Fields on the field, that's why this game felt so much like last season. Like, you got Eberflus, you got Fields. It's a close game. You got the lead, and it all, slips right from your grasp. This felt very much like the same story we've been seeing over and over. But I do agree with what you're saying, Kyle. I mean, I think this team has made, is deep. It's clearly deeper than it was last year. They've got some nice players. They've got a few more dudes. You need to get those types of players. It was nice to see your linebackers making plays yesterday, Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, both with an interception. Tyreek Stevenson caused two turnovers, one on special teams. I do think that they have made progress, and have they made enough? I don't know. That's for Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren to figure out come the end of the year. I do think these. I know we were talking about the last 7 games, but that doesn't change. Like the last 6 games are still going to be huge when you're deciding what you're going to do in the future. I know it's really depressing to be sitting here talking about another close loss on a Monday morning, but you kind of got to flip the page and attack the Vikings this week and see if they can get this thing trending in a positive direction.
If you're putting green check marks or red X's next to different players and coaches' names for this 7-game stretch, you got a lot of green next to the guys on the field yesterday, and unfortunately some red next to that coaching staff. But I don't know, as everyone who's in the chat here, everyone's been critical of Matt Eberflus, so I don't think anything that happened on that front is surprising to anyone. That's why I say I think maybe you should feel a little bit positive if you're a Bears fan, because what we saw yesterday is what you wanted, and at the end of the day, it's what you expect out of the coaching staff. So I will say, talking about that game against Minnesota, everyone, we will not be back with you later this week. I actually will be heading down to state football down in Normal on Friday morning. So this is your one chance to talk to us this week. Sean, looking ahead to that Minnesota game, they took that loss against Denver yesterday or last night. Another winnable game for the Bears, right?
Yeah, I mean, another winnable game. It's hard to, everything that Josh Dobbs has done in Minnesota has been so impressive. And I know they lost that game, but, they were playing. It sounded, I should say, I didn't get to watch the game. I was listening to it on the radio on my drive back from Detroit, but it sounded like they played really well early on in that game and built themselves a lead. But another winnable game for the Bears. I think it's going to be much like Ford Field. It's going to be tough on the road. That's another thing that, like, you get to these fourth quarters, you get to the last 4 minutes of the game, the crowd really plays a factor. And when you're on the road, it's tough.
Let's see if I can find that. Jay, can you throw that question about Braxton Jones up on the screen from Mike? Yeah. Sean, I don't know if you saw this from your perspective on the field yesterday. They showed it on the broadcast, though. Yeah. So Mike, really quickly, so anyone who's listening to the podcast, I'll say, Mike says, what happened to Braxton Jones when they took him out of the game, or when they took him out of the game and he looked so mad? That was pretty late. I'm not exactly sure what sequence that was. I know it was definitely in the second half. He came off the field. Larry Borum came in at left tackle, and Braxton Jones went over. He was, I think, the not suitable for work. I see someone say in the comments there. I'm pretty sure the broadcast caught an F-bomb from him coming off the field. He went over, slammed his helmet down. Any idea what happened there?
My guess is that the league's concussion spotters, upstairs probably flagged that play and called down to the refs. And I think he was so mad because there was a third down coming up the next play that he missed, or it might have been 2 plays. He missed a second and third down there, deep in like the Lions territory. But yeah, so he took a few minutes to cool off, and then he went in the medical tent, and I'm guessing they did a concussion check and he passed that, and he returned to the game after that. That's what I think is going on there.
That's what I thought happened too. And I think he was swearing at. I want to go back and listen to the broadcast. I think he might have been swearing literally at the league. I think I heard him say NFL there. Like, he may have been getting angry that they were forcing him to come off the field.
I'm sure that's why he was mad, is because, they flagged him and told him to come off the field. He passed the what I assume was a concussion test. If that's the case, like, he probably felt like he was okay to keep playing. And I think any player would be mad in that situation.
Marks has a comment up here. Jake, I want to throw this up here. Let's finish this before we get out of here, Sean. Mark says, I do feel positive, Kyle. Justin Fields played well, and we are one step closer to replacing a coaching staff. Yeah, guys, at the end of the day, like, if the on-field product looks like it did over the next 6 weeks as it did on Sunday, you talk about the Carolina Panthers continue to lose football games. The Bears continue to lose football games. You got a lot of draft picks, a lot of money going into free agency. If you get at least the on-field product looking like that, you should hopefully feel pretty good at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's still reason to be optimistic. I still, look, no GM is going to shoot 100%. They're not going to hit on every pick. Velus Jones was inactive again on Sunday. There's obviously you can talk about Chase Claypool, all that stuff, but overall, I think Ryan Poles has done a really nice job. At least the first year of rebuilding this roster. Like I said, those linebackers made a really big impact yesterday. And yeah, you're going to have the top draft picks, whatever it winds up being, 1, 2, 3, wherever that Carolina pick winds up. There's reason to be optimistic. And look, if the Bears don't start winning games, like Matt Eberflus is going to be in trouble. It's just that simple. I mean, you can like what he's doing behind the scenes all you want, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the wins and losses. And if they don't start winning games, something's got to change.
All right, Sean, we got to get out of here. Although if you can't get enough of my ugly mug, you can come back in about 20 minutes live here on Shaw Local's YouTube page and watch Steve Susie and I talk about semifinal state football. It was a fun weekend over there.
Kyle is talking football all morning, guys.
Listen, there are worse ways to make a living than sitting on YouTube and talking football, so I can't complain. Sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here. Thank you, everyone who joined us live this morning. Thank you to Jake Bartleson, who's working behind the scene producing this. Also, congrats to Jake on the engagement this weekend.
Congrats, Jake.
Big news for Jake there. Again, thank you, everyone who joined us this morning. Everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Looking forward to watching the Bears again this weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll talk to you guys later.